Did you know that slavery, a practice we associate with the distant past, is still a reality in some parts of the world today? Yes, it's a harsh truth that there exist places where the chains of bondage haven't been broken yet. One such place is the Islamic Republic of Mauritania. Mauritania, a country in West Africa, is one of the most economically underdeveloped countries in the world. Almost half of its population lives below the poverty level, and unemployment stands at a staggering 30%. The average life expectancy is merely 58 years for men and 63 for women. Literacy rates are alarmingly low, with only 59% of men and 43% of women being literate. This country, unfortunately, is one of the few where slavery still plays a significant role in society. Despite being officially banned 3 times, the law is flouted with impunity. The local rulers, far from being democratic leaders, behave more like kings under other names. A special caste of dark-skinned slaves known as harrowing are owned by the Arab nobility or wealthy individuals and are absolutely powerless. Mauritania is in constant conflict with its neighbors. Over the past 50 years, the country has been plagued by military coups, drought, civil war, production shutdowns, strikes, corruption, and severe internal disorder. This environment of instability and conflict contributes to the perpetuation of slavery. The question that arises is, why do the residents not strive to change these centuries-old practices? The answer, in part, lies in the economic conditions of the country. Mauritania's territory is largely desert, with very little arable land. Drought can persist for several years in a row, and there is a serious problem with drinking water. Only 2/3 of residents have access to clean water. Ironically, the very poverty and illiteracy that slavery perpetuates also help to sustain it. The lack of resources and the harsh desert conditions make it difficult for Mauritanians to break free from the cycle of poverty and slavery. For many locals, this is the only way to survive. While we might find it hard to believe, slavery continues to thrive in Mauritania, a stark reminder of our world's inequality. To truly understand the persistence of slavery in Mauritania, we must delve into its historical roots and the societal structure that supports it. Slavery in Mauritania cannot be viewed through the lens of the transatlantic slave trade, but rather as a deeply ingrained societal norm that predates it. With the Arab expansion, slave-owning systems were introduced to Mauritania, subjugating the local Berbers and African tribes. The societal hierarchy that emerged was based on a complex system of personal ownership over essential resources, such as water sources and oases. Those who could fight, had crafts, and converted to Islam, occupied a privileged position. They were the ones who had access to resources. On the other hand, those who lacked these skills ended up being slaves, working for the Muslims to cultivate the land and get water. Fast forward to the present day, this societal structure has largely remained unchanged. A special caste of dark-skinned slaves known as harrowing inhabit this region. They are often owned by the Arab nobility or wealthy individuals. Powerless and without rights, their lives are dictated by the whims of their owners. Despite constituting a significant portion of the population, their existence is often overlooked in discussions about Mauritania's societal structure. The persistence of slavery in Mauritania is not just a result of economic underdevelopment, but also a reflection of a deeply entrenched societal hierarchy. This hierarchy, which places the harrowing at the bottom, is reinforced by the lack of education and opportunities for upward social mobility. With a literacy rate of just 43% among women and 59% among men, the situation is indeed grim. Despite the passing of time and numerous legal bans, the chains of slavery remain unbroken in this part of the world. The Islamic Republic of Mauritania has banned slavery 3 times, yet these legal prohibitions have done little to change the ground reality. The existence of slavery in Mauritania is not merely a remnant of the past, but a stark reminder of the societal inequalities that persist to this day. In a world where freedom is a fundamental right, how much does it cost to buy a human life in Mauritania? This question, chilling as it may be, is a reality for many in this West African nation. Slavery, a vile practice long abolished in most parts of the world, continues to thrive here, a dark underbelly of a society struggling to keep pace with the modern world. The cost of a slave in Mauritania, believe it or not, is not as high as one might think. A human life with all its potential, dreams and dignity is often traded for a meager sum, sometimes as low as a few $100s. The price, however, is not merely monetary. It's a cost paid in the currency of basic human rights, dignity and freedom. But why does this persist? Why do the local residents not strive to change these centuries-old practices? The answers, unfortunately, are not simple. Mauritania is a country where poverty is rampant, literacy rates are low, and opportunities for economic advancement are few. For many, the absence of alternatives and the lack of awareness about their rights have rendered them complacent, forcing them to accept this oppressive system as a way of life. Moreover, the country's ruling class, who benefit from this system, show little interest in changing the status quo. They justify the practice by citing cultural traditions and religious interpretations, further entrenching the system. Slavery in Mauritania is also deeply intertwined with racial and societal hierarchies. The harrowing, who are often the victims of this system, are seen as inferior and undeserving of equal rights. This societal prejudice and systemic discrimination further perpetuate the cycle of slavery. It's important to note that the government of Mauritania has, on paper, outlawed slavery, but the enforcement of these laws is lax, especially in remote regions where the practice is most prevalent. The lack of political will and the absence of effective enforcement mechanisms have allowed this abhorrent practice to continue unabated. The price of a human life, it seems, is depressingly low in Mauritania. It's a stark reminder that the fight for basic human rights and dignity is far from over. It's a call to action for the international community to not turn a blind eye to this ongoing tragedy. In the vast deserts of Mauritania, the harsh environment plays a crucial role in the continuation of slavery. This vast expanse, covering 60% of the country, is an unforgiving landscape where survival is a constant battle. Drought can persist for several years on end, and arable land is scarce. This scarcity extends to the essential resource of water, with only 2/3 of the population having access to it. The agricultural capacity of Mauritania is limited to a narrow strip of land along the Senegal River and around the oases. The lack of natural resources, underdeveloped industry, and absence of tourism or an offshore zone further exacerbate the economic hardship. The iron and copper ore deposits that exist are exploited by foreign companies, offering little benefit to the local economy. The country holds the dubious distinction of having the weakest manufacturing base in Africa, and without access to the ocean, Mauritania would be utterly isolated. Poverty and illiteracy are widespread, with 40% of the population living below the poverty line. The literacy rate is a dismal 59% among men, and even lower at 43% among women. These harsh conditions do not allow the Mauritanians to escape poverty, resulting in the preservation of societal norms that date back centuries, including the slave system. The desert itself plays a part in maintaining this oppressive system. Its vast barren expanses make law enforcement and change difficult. While slavery has been officially banned, this legislation is nearly impossible to enforce in the remote desert regions where the Berber property owners continue to exploit the harrowing slaves. This harsh reality of life in Mauritania is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, but it also serves as a stark reminder of the cruel injustices that still exist in the world today. In the unforgiving desert, the ancient system of slavery finds a way to survive. In the face of such deep-rooted injustice, what can we do to help break the chains of slavery in Mauritania? Let's delve into the efforts that are being made and the challenges being faced in this battle for freedom. The fight against slavery in Mauritania is being led by brave individuals and organizations both within the country and internationally. They are striving to expose and eradicate this heinous practice despite the immense hurdles they encounter. One such group is the Initiative for the Resurgence of the Abolitionist Movement, or IRA, a grassroots organization within Mauritania, They work tirelessly to free slaves and provide support for those who have managed to escape. Their work is risky, and they often face threats and imprisonment, but they persist. Internationally, organizations like Anti-Slavery International and Human Rights Watch put pressure on the Mauritanian government to enforce its own laws against slavery. They conduct investigations, publish reports, and advocate for change at the highest levels. But their work is hampered by a lack of access and government resistance. One of the most significant challenges is the deeply ingrained social and economic structures that uphold slavery in Mauritania. Many Harroutins, even those who have escaped slavery, remain in a state of dependency due to poverty and lack of education. Efforts to change this situation are slow and fraught with difficulty. Moreover, the issue of slavery in Mauritania is largely unknown to the world at large. Global awareness is crucial in putting pressure on the Mauritanian government to take real action against slavery. But to do this, we need to educate ourselves and others about the reality of this situation. And so we find ourselves at the crux of the matter. It's time we lend our voices to those who have been silenced for far too long. Let's educate ourselves and others about the reality of modern-day slavery and join the fight to end it, because freedom should never come with a price tag.